Western civilization heading for a reboot over the holidays. Many signs and confirmations from highly placed sources indicate that a reboot of Western civilization is being planned for 2019. The shutdown of the US government over the holidays, for example, has nothing to do with building a wall and everything to do with a financial reboot and upcoming military tribunals. However, what is coming is about much more than just rounding up the criminals who hijacked and bankrupted the US government. It is about fixing the problems besetting monotheism. Since today is December 24th, Christmas Eve, it's a good time to remind people of the historical truth behind this holiday. The fact is that nobody knows when Jesus Christ was born, so the early Christian church hijacked the All Solar New Year holiday and replaced the sun with Jesus. Here's the thing, the sun sets at its most northern point on December 21st, the winter solstice. For 3 days afterwards, it appears to be set at the same place, and then on December 25th, it starts setting further south, marking the birth of the solar new year. Thus, the Christian church needs to confess and tell people the truth about Christmas without in any way denying the wonderful teachings of Jesus Christ and Christianity. The Jews, for their part, need to stop celebrating the xenophobic Hanukkah and realize that it is perfectly kosher to celebrate the solar new year unless they somehow think the Creator did not make the sun. Anyway, Merry Christmas to the Christians and Muslims, and Merry Summers to everybody else. These issues, together with discussions of updating the calendars to bring them back into line with the movements of the heavens on which they are based, are going to be part of a broad public discourse in the new year. That is because, at the highest levels of the world power, a decision has been made to go ahead and rebuild the temple in Jerusalem and turn that city into an international free zone. This is why 2019 is likely to be a year for the history books. In preparation for these upcoming historical changes, US troops are being withdrawn from various conflict zones in order to pave the way for world peace, CIA sources say. Pentagon sources agree, adding that US President Donald Trump is pulling out of Syria, Afghanistan, Yemen, and the Ukraine to terminate the deep state and the Zionists. Since the global currency reset requires peace and cessation of hostilities, European royal family sources concur that preparations are underway for a reboot of the global financial system. The current US dollar, euro, and the Japanese yen-based system is bankrupt and dysfunctional. These and other sources agree. This is especially true of the United States, which has been bankrupt for quite some time now, the sources say. That's why this current US government shutdown is going to lead to some sort of Chapter 11 reorganization of the US government. The European royals, for example, acknowledge that the historical bonds, farm claims, and other claims against the US government must be paid, yet cannot be paid without bankrupting the system. However, discussion with the European royals and the P2 Freemasons who control the Vatican make it clear that fundamental decisions have not been made about what the reboot will resemble. It is clear, though, that the current system is being shut down. This can be seen not just in the US government shutdown, but also in the fact that no corporate junk bonds were issued in December, and that US stock market fell by the most since the Lehman shock of 2008. One thing they have agreed upon, though, is that a future planning agency will be established with a multi-trillion-dollar budget. The legal and financial frameworks for this organization are being negotiated behind the scenes, according to royal family and P2 Freemason sources. Another thing that has been agreed upon at the highest level, including with Asian secret societies, is that criminality would be rooted out of the system, especially in the US. On that front, Pentagon sources say the number of suit indictments in the US has reached the 70,000 mark. 2 huge prison barges are being sent to Guantanamo Bay from New York and California to accommodate all the criminals who are being rounded up. A further sign of what is coming can be seen in the fact that Trump sent notice to House Speaker Paul Ryan that the National Emergency Executive Order 13818 from December 20, 2017 has been extended for 1 year, blocking property and seizing assets of persons involved in serious human rights abuse or corruption, the sources note. The criminals in charge in Israel and Saudi Arabia are also going to face justice, promised Russian FSB sources. Towards that end, the Russian government has provided detailed and extensive evidence that the so-called White Helmets were a criminal organization that was stealing organs, faking sarin gas attacks, and looting historical treasures. That means that actor George Clooney will be one of the many celebrities who is headed for Guantanamo Bay. Mass murdering Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Mohammed bin Skin Them Alive Salman are other criminals who will be receiving justice, say CIA, Pentagon, and FSB sources. Also slated for justice are the criminal members of the Biden, Pence, Clinton, Bush, Rockefeller, Rothschild, DuPont, Iwasaki, and other families who thought they were too rich to ever go to prison, the sources say. Also, the Pentagon sources say the sentencing of former Defense Intelligence Agency Director General Mike Flynn has been delayed until March 13, 2019, during which time FISA declassification, military tribunals, and other truth bombs will be dropped. To make sure the removal of high-level criminals proceeds without a hitch, the Pentagon sources say, Trump may appoint another Supreme Court justice to solidify a real conservative majority as liberal hack U.S. President Donald Trump, hater Ruth Bader Ginsburg succumbs to cancer. This is even more crucial than Justice Brett Kavanaugh because Chief Justice John Roberts has been blackmailed to swing with liberals and he too may be forced down. Message to Justice Ginsburg. Your goals, such as equal rights for women and minorities, are now part of the social fabric, so please bow out with grace. The other thing to note is that in December, Marine Generals John Kelly and James Mattis announced their resignations as White House Chief of Staff and Defense Secretary, respectively. We also saw the announcement of Army Chief General Mark Milley was named as the next chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff to succeed Marine General Joseph Dunford. The replacement of all three Marines at the top of the U.S. power hierarchy is simply because they have accomplished the goal of being the tip of the spear, Pentagon sources say. Now that a beachhead has been established in Washington, the U.S. Navy and Army will take place of the bigger organizational and rebuilding issues that will come up now, the sources say. Also, one Pentagon source said that Mattis and Kelly want to leave the administration before the U.S. government is formally bankrupted. They will instead concentrate on supervising the military tribunals. Once the Washington establishment is cleaned up, the criminals receive justice. Both are considering running for public office in 2020, the source says. It is also good to hear that Robert David Stelly has been promoted for consideration as the new Defense Secretary by Gordon Duff, Editor-in-Chief of Veterans Today. A man who knows better than most that virtually all veterans abhor war and despise those who seek to wage war for profit. It is interesting that even though Duff is viscerally opposed to Trump and Stelly is a Trump supporter, Duff still wants Stelly to have the job of the Trump administration's defense secretary. There are serious discussions on implementing Stelly's open source everything ideas in an experimental zone, maybe Manchuria, as one route to providing secret military high-tech to the general population in a responsible manner. Stelly, when asked about his nomination, promised that if selected, he would not only allow the release of military secret technology, but also would do his best to implement the long-awaited and much-discussed disclosure of the secret space program. We still do not know the exact timing when all these changes will take place. We have been promised military tribunals in January, but the global currency reset is still an unknown. However, there are two hints that May could be the time. First, the new Japanese emperor will assume the throne then. As the oldest continuing royal family on earth, the Japanese royals are said by other royals to be the ones who will place the official seal that inaugurates the new financial system. The other, more minor hint is that after the Prime Minister of Belgium resigned last week, the King of Belgium asked him to stay on until May.